Welcome back to our Beatrice YouTube channel. In today's class, we'll be learning how to create an invisible boning channel on a dress. It can be a corset or bustier. So this is the type of dress where you have your boning on your main fabric, as you can see, but when you turn to the right side, you're not going to see any boning line or any boning channel. So it's an invisible boning, and we're going to be learning that in this tutorial. It's a very simple tutorial and it's beginner friendly. If this is something you like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Okay, so to make this tutorial, I have these two pieces. It's just for illustration purpose, so I'm just going to assume that you have cut out your pattern, the pattern you want to add this bone to, and then you have it like this. So this marking that we have here is the seam allowance that we're going to work with. So depending on how you want to add this boning, you can add it to one side. I mean, if you are doing a single boning, or if you want to work with two boning method where you have your boning on your seam allowances separately. So it depends on the type of boning you want. That's going to determine the allowance that you're going to be working with. I normally work with around 0.75 if I'm going to be using it as my channel. But if you're adding your boning separately, just know what you work with. By the time we're sewing it, to understand it better. So now I'm going to go ahead and run my stitch here and then press open my seam. So I'm gonna head to sew it, and as you can see, I've prepared my fabric by adding my interfacing to it. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to open this seam now, and then I'm going to press it down to open up my seam allowance. So I've pressed my seam open now, and you can see how flat it is lying. So after ironing it, you have a bust ham like this, you can use it to press it down so that it can make it like this flat. Okay, that's what a bust ham also does for you. So you can see how flat it is lying. The next thing is to bring in my boning. So what I mean is, you can either place your boning in between like this, or you have it double where you have one here and you have one here. So if you are using a single boning, what you just need to do is to sew it in between. So it means you will not need so much seam allowance. But if you want to work with double boning, it means you have one here and one here, which means each one has to carry its own allowance, so you need more. So now I'm just going to measure the amount of boning that I need, and then I'm going to cut it out. Okay, so after cutting it out now, I'll take it to the sewing machine and sew on my allowance. So there are several ways you can actually do your invisible boning. You can decide to just add it to the lining, okay, and then by the time you place your fabric, the boning is just going to be on the lining. But in some cases, you may want to have your boning on your main fabric. So this is one way you can do it. So now I'll take it to the sewing machine now, and then I'm going to place my boning. And then when you want to sew this, you sew on your allowance alone. Okay, the boning is not, so you can just push this in like this. You can see how I'm pushing it to create that part that I need. So now I'm going to place my boning like this and then sew on the allowance alone. So I'm on the machine. I can either do a single boning like I said, or double. So I think I'm going to be doing double, which means I'm going to be pushing it to this side, as you can see. So all you just need to do now is to put this under your machine, and as you can see, I'm sewing this only on my seam allowance. So I'm going to place my machine underneath it like this and then sew my boning. So you place it as close as possible, and then you gently sew it down. So you keep sewing. After sewing one side, you move to the other side and then sew the other side as well. So I've sewn this side now. I'm going to bring it out, cut my thread, and then sew on the other side as well. So I'm going to place it under it again and then sew. Just sew it gently so that you're not going to be cutting your thread. So now the first one is done, and as you can see, this is my main body. So you can see that you cannot see any traces of boning. So now the thing I did here, I'm going to repeat on this other side as well. So I'm going to bring in my boning again and then sew it on the other side, just like I did for the first one. So now I'm going to remove the seam allowance, just like secluding it, and then you push your main bodies underneath it like this, and then you place your boning and then sew. Okay, so now I'm going to place it and then sew the inner one first, and then later sew the outer one, just like I did for the first one. Okay, so now you can see I've sewn the first one. So the next thing now is to go ahead and sew the second one. So it's that simple. You just need to sew it gently. So if you are working with a single boning, what you just need to do is place your boning in between your seam allowance, and then you just open each side of your seam allowances and sew on it. Okay, so I've sewn it down now. So if I open it out, you will see that you cannot see any boning line on my pattern, and then the boning is just on the allowance. So the last thing to do, you can leave it like this actually, but the last thing that I like to do is just to use my hemming gum to sew to place this down. So what you just need to do is bring in your hemming gum. Okay, so I have my hemming glue here. So you just cut a bit of it now and then push it forward again. So you are going to place this in between your seam allowance and your main fabric, and then you fold it down. So now I'm going to use my iron to press it down. So what this does is it's going to melt the gum. The hot iron will melt the gum, and then it will glue the allowance to your main fabric. Okay, so I've gone ahead to gum it down, and you can see that it is glued together. I can see how clean it is on the right side. You will not know that a boning was added to it. So this is how you create your invisible boning. Very clean, very simple, and very easy to make. I hope you enjoyed making this beautiful tutorial with me. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment, and subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.